everybody, and it's Thursday, which means it's a Trekker's Delight Picard review show. And this week we are doing, oh god, I don't even remember the name.
Broken Pieces.
Broken Pieces. Yeah, this is clearly starting out well, so cheers for that. We are doing Broken Pieces. Your panel today, we've got the amazing Roy, we've got William Wofford, we've got Manny, who is, as always, fantastic, and I am Marie Brownhill of Trekker's Delight and Game Industry News. And let's get that intro going so that we can get on with the show.
What's up, Trekkies? It's your boy Will Wofford here with Trekker's Delight, a Star Trek-inspired podcast. Before we get started, we're going to give away $100, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel where we will announce the lucky winner every single week. Now, welcome to Trekker's Delight.
Yeah, no, I think everybody is right. We have now pointed out that Marie was incorrect as far as the episode title. So clearly I am already killing it today.
You're doing great.
It is actually Mercy. So Manny, do you want to lead us into what happened in Mercy?
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to kick over to this slideshow and see how we do here. I thought it was Broken Pieces for the, I didn't know why I thought that, but that's what it titled. So this has been brought to you today by Trekker's Delight, and don't forget to check out our other shows.
Oh, wow.
Who made all that?
Yeah, I did. I stayed up a little bit and I put something together for you guys.
So Manny is channeling his insomnia in a productive manner.
Yes.
Raise your hand if you're shocked.
The episode starts with the sequence where the boy is running and he drops his flashlight, and surprise, surprise, you see some Vulcans, and then it smash cuts.
Can we talk about how terrifying those Vulcans are, though, for a second?
Yeah.
Like, those are the most like just frightening Vulcans I think I've ever seen. Like, how do you make it? It's like,
dark.
Look at the menace.
They're so dark, right? Like it's
dark. They do look kind of like
I'm gonna eat you.
Like, hold on. And then you know what? I have many thoughts, but Manny, I'm gonna let Manny finish it.
No, it's all good. Thank you. You would do me like Kanye. Thank you.
So
go ahead.
I'm guessing around the year so that's probably around the year 1975. I'm guessing that this little boy, because of course we meet the man later, the FBI guy.
Right.
So I was the hazard guess it's around the mid 70s.
Yeah. So it's 2024. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, moreover, it's in a time when mind melds were still illegal.
Ooh.
I'm gonna throw things at you.
Huh?
You should.
I never thought about that.
It's
all right.
It's not.
I mean, it's just like I already look bad.
on.
I'm gonna do bad things, and I'm gonna do the bad juju.
So we smash cut to this scene where they're Guinan and Picard are sitting down, and the guy walks in, and Picard is stuttering, says, "Oh, it's Wells, isn't it?" And he insists, "It's just an interview. I don't like the word interrogation." He asks him, "Are you an extraterrestrial life form?"
Least convincing Fox Mulder ever.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it was the time travel guy, like for real.
Yeah, me too. Like if they was playing that character.
It would have made sense. But nah, he's just there.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's nice, like as a Easter egg.
Because
So you can,
it kind of looked like he was stuck in the past for like 30 years. You know,
yeah, like how Captain
Braxton.
That's right. And he collects. So it's funny, actually. It's full circle. So he wants to know if he's going to sabotage the Europa mission. Guinan tells him, this seems pretty off the books. He says, you're right. In fact, no one even knows you're here. We smash cut to Rios talking with Raffi and Seven about Girardi. He insists that Agnes is still in there. Just make sure, and they tell him to make sure, check all the operating systems, make sure she didn't do this. We find them rolling up to a smashed in dive bar, which is where we left off in the last episode. And Raffi tells her to go analog, so he lies and says, she's my sister. We're trying to get her to a facility. And he tells her she left with a guy. And so this guy, he points out that he saw them beam down and he caught them at the gala and like sees all of them in like freeze frame. And then Guinan says, I'm not really getting FBI top interrogator vibes from you. Someone else.
No, because clearly this guy needs to go to the NSA.
Yes.
He's in the wrong service.
He does look, like a spook. And then I think, it's a bit heavy-handed knowing how the episode is going to, eventually unfold. So what makes you the man for the job, right? And he points out the bruise on Picard's hand. He's like, after all, I'm only human. He leaves the room, and Picard says if he believes we're tampering with the Oprah mission, then Q doesn't even need to stop Renee. We will have broken the future because they'll scrub the mission. And then you see this bit with Adam Soong and Corey. Corey's like looking at all the files, and she picks up this thing called the Aspectus, and Q is inside and waiting for her. I wanted to point out this one screen, like the back of his. I took this picture because the back of his jacket has this really intricate pattern.
Hey, cosplayers!
Yeah,
challenge.
Look at that.
Exactly.
And so he picks up a vial and he knocks over the other ones and he shows her that this is a human genome. And she asks if she's an experiment, and he tells her the truth. And he sends her this thing in a delivery. She looks at it very Alice in Wonderland, and it says freedom.
Was anybody else disappointed that it didn't say drink me?
Right.
It's really sad. I was kind of sad because it's just like, come on, Q, come on. Like, I know, by the way, can we just take 2 seconds to acknowledge that I was right? I said it last week.
What did you say?
They're dying.
Excuse me.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
But
yes.
anyway.
All right, so moving on. We are 8 minutes in. We got to get through this summary.
So we see that she's killed someone, and then these two have a little bit about connection. And
you call that a connection? I call that a spat.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would have argued more. I felt like it was kind of one way each time. They didn't really argue with each other. It was either one or the other. Like,
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Manny's relationships that he's going to call that a connection.
No, I mean, like they,
like a
fighting is
disconnection.
part of that too. Yeah. Then they, plan a conspiracy to murder.
I mean,
track down Girardi.
Hey, girlfriend, how you doing? All right, death.
They find Girardi eating up this battery. She looks over. They see her coming, and boom, Girardi hits it.
honestly, this actually makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a word about it. I was like, okay.
So here we go, right? She's walking away. She leaves them. He checks out the IV bruise, and he finds that Rios was also in the same place. And he reads back Rios's thing. He says, I'm stuck back in a particularly primitive past, trying to correct the timeline with a ragtag group of misfits, including one cybernetic queen that I'm fairly certain is just in it to wipe out all of humanity with her old cohort, a crusty old admiral who, if I understand it correctly, is now a flesh and blood robot. He finds the piece. He goes back and sees it. And we have this scene with Rios and the kid. He orders 4 cakes. They order the cakes, and he kisses the girl. And then this guy's still grilling him. And then you have the scene with Q and Guinan. She points out that she didn't think the summoning worked. She senses fear in him and emptiness. And she tells him he's dying. And he ponders the fact that he has only one lifetime. He tells her the trap. We talk about Picard is immaterial, and it's the escape that counts. They're all trapped in the past. And so you have this part with Adam Soong and Akore, and he's afraid of losing her, but he's also more afraid of losing his legacy. And you see the flashback with Raffi about him dying in her arms. And you understand now what was happening with the Vulcans and the mind meld, trying to erase his memory. Guinan points out that human beings are singular in the way that they like do the work. They actually want to evolve. And then you get Jurati confronting Soong. This part was interesting. Rene Picard either boards a spaceship and makes a discovery that renders your work obsolete. Or, if she doesn't, Earth in your time finds itself in ecological freefall. And he's the man that they turn to if there's an opportunity. She wants a 400-year start to assimilate things. She touches the soldier and he becomes assimilated. To be continued. Yay.
I had goosebumps.
I did not. I have real feelings about this episode, and most of them are not positive.
You know what?
Hit us with your best shot.
You know what? Bring it on, Marie. Bring it on.
I don't want to harsh. I don't want my yuck to harsh anybody else's yum, but I do think this was a much weaker episode than it needs to be at episode 8 of a 10-episode season.
Okay, at that point, yes.
We had that problem with monsters, which
didn't really give us much of anything except half of
like a good old-fashioned sort of like fridging of Yvette Picard.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no
okay,
mention of his brother or anything.
no brother, no Robert, none of that nonsense. Nah, we're just gonna fridge his mom so that he can have trauma and be angsty, and that his angst and his pain is so important that he will use it to save worlds.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're not wrong. Okay.
I'm not. And the problem with Mercy is we're kind of continuing in that same vein. So I had a couple of story problems with this. The first being obviously this whole capture by the FBI agent. Oh Marco, look, I am going to show personal growth and not make the comment. I'm not. I'm going to be good.
That's a damn lie.
Hush you. Hush. So I really think the FBI sequence is weak and doesn't really serve a whole lot. And I think we know that because Wells goes from being a deeply traumatized, person who believes he was the victim of, an abortive alien abduction to, after a rousing speech from Patrick Stewart, is like, yes, let me help you now. And that just doesn't work for me. Like, that as a story beat doesn't work.
Interesting.
At all. The whole Rios thing, I would love to know why we're doing this, why we're going through this process. Like, what is Rios planning here? Like, what is the character development y'all, what is the goal with this relationship with this person? Like, are we gearing up to leave Santiago Cabrera's character in 2024? Because that will hurt me on so many levels. So I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? You were not going to be stepdaddy to Ricardo. Like, it's just not going to happen. And yeah, I know my accent's terrible. It is. It's abysmal.
There's a lot of conversation about the kid and her and taking care of it. And like, I don't know if it's fan service or
I don't know. And I'm also kind of curious if there's a racial dimension to this too, because we couldn't handle the interracial relationship with Rios and Jurati. So now we've got to go back and put him with another Hispanic Spanish-speaking person, because I guess like calls to like.
I don't know.
Because really, as far as this goes, like that's what Teresa is bringing to the table.
She's a stable, working person. Yeah, she happens to be Spanish.
I mean, just like, okay. All right, Rios.
Can't really have Girardi.
And for the first
in a
time,
relationship.
actually, for the first time this whole season, the interaction between Raffi and Seven falls flat. I think William actually pointed out that you wanted them to argue with each other. They're literally not. You're right. They're talking at cross purposes and nobody's really communicating anything. And it doesn't, and the pacing doesn't work, especially. We don't really have time to digest it before we turn around and do something else. I don't understand what these last 2 episodes are trying to do. And if you've got an idea, I am open to it. I would love to understand why, but these have just been awful.
Okay. Guys, I love arguing with Marie because it's Marie that's my friend, But on all of these points, she's actually 100% correct.
I love you, William, and not just because you said I was right.
Oh yeah. But it's like, I know I'm a Trekkie. We all are, and we shouldn't have. I'm not going to use I. I'm going to act like a Borg and say we. We shouldn't have to think of a better scenario that I know we're all thinking would have made a much better episode for this particular one right here, where it could have gone. Like, say for instance, because the timeline was interrupted, the dude became a washed out FBI cop after having an encounter with the Vulcans. So that's that story. Or if Q is really stuck, okay, we've been established that your race is dying, because as soon as you snapped your fingers, I said this last week. I said the fact that he does not have his powers thus makes him mortal, thus means he's dying, because now he exists in time with us and he is in human form. I think he's stuck. I think something is wrong. I think he used whatever Q juice he had left to pull out that whole shindig. And
somebody somewhere is going to use the phrase Q juice in a completely inappropriate way now.
Dang.
I'm going to give Roy a little.
Roy. He's like, don't let Murray talk anymore.
No, I want to hear what he has to say. What do you think so far, Roy?
I think all the questions will be answered. It's all going to pan out, and all these little, nonsensical things that have been happening are all going to make sense in the end.
It's all going to tie together neatly.
We're going to have like those V8 moments, like, oh, that's why they did that.
So you think we're going to get the dude's rug, right? Like, there's going to be a rug plot line that we're going to be able to follow.
Unless season 3 is literally the second half of this story plot.
Sure.
We do know that they were developed together.
What's that?
We do know that season 2 and season 3 were actually developed together in terms of scripting.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So maybe something goes drastically wrong that they do need to call upon, the rest of the TNG crew to fix whatever needs to be fixed. Because as of right now, it does not look like that they're gonna fix what needs to be fixed. As a matter of fact, it's gonna look. We're gonna have First Contact Part 2, literally.
You're right.
Because that queen literally just assimilated a whole fucking
like an ODA.
Oh,
so special, guys.
I did get a little jittery. I was like, oh my god.
Marco's in the comments.
Yeah,
he's doing the Austin Powers quotes.
Yes, he is.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Roy. Go ahead.
Thanks, Marco.
Oh no, that was it.
Okay.
He's like, no, I wanted to drop the Austin Powers reference because I'm cool.
So throughout the show, it felt like it was doing like this. Right. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but and I'm glad that there are like little nuggets here and there. But bro, we are at season. We are at
episode 8.
8. We are 8.
2 more.
You should have been solved all of this. You should have been solved all of this. As a matter of fact, we should be coming up on the final showdown that usually happens in season 9, and the all hell breaks loose. Got to do this before season 3 in episode 10.
I think you're right, though.
But they're not doing that.
Both of you are right about Marie and William.
I really want to be along on Roy's ride. Like I do. I want to believe that we're going to get like the dude's rug, and they're going to manage to come up with something that's going to tie it all together beautifully. But the point is this season particularly seems to struggle with where it wants to go.
That's
It
true.
either wants to be this really, complicated time travel mystery, but we don't have enough investment in making it a mystery. We have a whole bunch of nonsensical parts and not enough resolution really to get us to where we need to be by episode 10. Or it wants to be a prestige character drama. And the problem with that is we also don't have enough development there. And so we get these really awkward interactions with, like we had with Seven and Raffi, because those are interactions that they needed to have. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
That is a conversation that they need to have. The problem is they're having two different conversations, and we're also trying to solve the Borg Queen problem at the same time. And as a result, you cannot, in this instance, you cannot have your cake and eat it as well. And I need Picard to double down on that. Like, I need them to figure out like where it is they want to go, and then pick one and do it. I think Star Trek does character pieces extremely well. And I think you can have a character piece that also has interesting plot. We've seen that done before. In The Pale Moonlight, for example, is a great character piece that has a pretty involved plot, but that plot is intimately intertwined with the character piece.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that we're having. Picard has been telling us since episode 1 that the character piece and the plot are intertwined. We just have yet to see, like 8 episodes in a 10-episode season, we have yet to see that link made any form of explicit or even implicit, really.
Let me ask you a question, Marie, and to everyone.
And y'all, I have a pretty high tolerance for Star Trek nonsense. I got all the way through Enterprise.
Oh yeah, but I'm asking this from a production point of view. We all know that we were shouting for glory that they were shooting 2 and 3 at the same time, because we were thinking, oh yeah, shoot them 2 seasons at a time because Patrick Stewart's an old man, got to get it out the way, blah 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 blah. But then we learned early this year in 2022 that's actually it. Now, knowing what we know now, because we know the show is going to end, could that have been the reason for them to shoot it at the same time in the first place? And it now seems like they have a rushed, incomplete plot, as if they were about to get canceled, almost like the last season of Enterprise. Like, everything is just all over the place, and there's really the foundation is lost, and they don't really know where they're going. They're just trying to throw everything in there, but they're not really going anywhere. Does that make any sense?
So I would buy that, except for the fact that Kurtzman has come out and said we always knew there were only going to be 3 seasons of Picard. Like we had a story we wanted to tell, and that's what we're doing.
So since number 1, he always knew that it was only going to be 3.
Assuming that's true.
Okay.
My guess would be
I don't know, dude. I don't know anything behind the scenes, so I can't really necessarily opine on that. But taking him at his word, if he always knew there were only going to be 3 seasons and they had a general idea of where they wanted each season to go.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I mean, yeah, we were all in hiatus because of the pandemic, but
right.
I mean, we all have computers and we've got Zoom, so you can do a writer's room.
I think that for sure, I think when Picard was first coming out to do this, and he said he's like, I wasn't gonna ever pull him out again, but this is the story that I wanted to tell, and so forth. And I think I'm sure that they had a plot, and then I think it depended on whether or not they were able to contractually get the rest of the cast for that last season. So they probably had it all set up. And they're like, if we can get them, we'll go in this direction. And if we can't, we'll go in this direction. And after the first season, and they sort of gauged it, they were able, maybe for the 2 and 3 part of the season, able to book them for that. I have also read recently that because it was also, Picard is now being used as a platform to hopefully launch other properties. So I've heard buzz about a Voyager motion picture. I've heard buzz about bringing the Captain Worf show back.
Yeah.
And they're saying in the DS9 world that they might do something, but only if Ira Stephen Bear is at the helm. Even the Double Girl, I forget her name today. I just read that she would be interested in coming
Chase
back.
Masterson.
Chase Masterson. If they do a social impact, like if it has some sort of like, so they do something about social inequity or something that she can. Social activism is the word that she used. So
let me be real. I'm 150% anything that gets me more Deep Space Nine. Like 150% behind it. Like I will revise my opinion. I will give this like glowing reviews if that's going to convince them to give me more Ira Stephen Bear's Deep Space Nine.
If Picard does what, I don't know if anyone is a DC show fan, but if Picard does what the show Arrow did, like it's called the Arrowverse. Gave birth to the Flash, Days of Tomorrow, blah 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 blah. If Picard does that, then to me 3 seasons are worth it. Because it's like, okay, you're basically jump starting us, and you're giving us like the old school 90s, 80s, 90s Trek back, and you're expanding on the universe and making this work. Because we all know Patrick Stewart ain't always going to be here. We all know Nichelle Nichols isn't always going to be here. We all know they're on. I know Marie. I'm sorry, but if there is a brilliant way to do things. And I'm getting really worried. And maybe it's just me overanalyzing it with a pair of adult eyes for the first time in my life. Because you got to understand. For me, in my case, sorry, Marie. For me, in my case, when the last episode of Trek aired was a Friday the 13th, 2005. It was Enterprise. I was in 5th grade. And I didn't care. I was like, I
need more of this. Excuse me.
Right. I didn't even know. I was like, that's the last. I didn't know until 10 years later.
Right.
I was like, wait, that was it? Oh God, because I hadn't Netflix wasn't even a thing yet.
Right. Back to your thing. Like if it is a world building. See, this is my bugaboo. We started this season, and to Marie's point again, like what kind of story they're telling? They're telling everyone, but they're not telling them well. We started this season thinking about the Bell riots. And going to sanctuary districts, and there's so much capital that could have been used there. Like it's been so myopic, We're following this but we're in France, we're in California. There's a flyover of the observatory that we used in the episode with Voyager, 1996, of the observer and with rain and stuff like that. So yes, we have all these like Easter eggs and stuff, but there's no substance to it. And so that is brutal because you have so much of a dearth for storytelling and you haven't plumbed any of it. And what you have told us, and we're seeing it sort of unfold, is something that is haphazard and disconnected.
Yeah, exactly. I'm worried. What do you say, Roy?
Yeah, it does seem like a mess. I mean, the Soong story and the Borg story and Q's story and this Guinan story, and it's like, what's it all about? It just seems a mess, and I'm hoping that it coalesces or gels into something. So that's just the hopeful me. So
I love it. He's like, I'm holding to this. I'm holding to my optimism. That's very Trek of you, Roy.
It is literally just as messy as
Trek is about, right? Optimism.
Honestly, it is just as messy as the mud pool that Worf got in.
Yeah.
And that's just nasty.
I really don't know what. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do, and I don't know. We had such great. I mean, the season's got great bones. It really, really does, and I don't really understand why all of a sudden we can't seem to. I think this is a situation where they're just trying to do too much. And the problem is if you've got, and I keep harping on the 10 episodes, but if you've got 10 episodes, you really have to narrow down and drill down into a cohesive story. And, you can't do as many plot lines because you don't have 26 episodes to wrap them up.
Right. They've got more mysteries than they do in the middle of a Harry Potter book, you know.
And even when they offer solutions to the mysteries, like again, there's a moment in Monsters, and I'm gonna get off this episode, I swear, but I really hated Monsters. There's a moment in Monsters where I just get kicked out entirely, and it's when Talon looks up and says, "But you know, there's more to the story, right?" I'm like, we don't have time for more of the story. We don't. Like, we have all of these other stories, and we've got 3 episodes.
Yeah.
To wrap that up.
Man, I forgot about that.
I mean, and unless you're going to give me the world's most unsatisfying to be continued, in which case I get that you're trying to make an allusion to Best of Both Worlds, but also die in a fire.
The closest thing that I'm thinking, I think 2 things. I kind of said it earlier. We're not going to get a resolution this season. I do not think that's going to happen. There is no way it can happen. Even as bad as the last season of Enterprise was, we still came to somewhat of a half-assed resolution. But it was still a resolution, C- at best, but it was still a resolution at the end of the day. We are headed to a D- for this show. And I'm looking at it from all angles. We're not going to get the resolution. So it's kind of like what Manny said, well, we're contingent on seeing if the TNG cast would even come back, because Patrick Stewart made this whole point about it's going to be just him. We're not going to call up on them. This is not TNG. Well, that's what it was for season 1, and we got that. We understand that. Mm-hmm. Now that they're here, and they decided, and they probably heard that it was only going to be 3 seasons, and they're just like, one more ride for the show. And I get all that too. So now that that's there, I think since it was shot at the same time, season 3 is part 2 of season 2. I think in their own way, before they go back to episodic episodes, as we're going to see in Strange New Worlds, they're trying to do the ultimate climactic 2-part season that is on par with the Best of Both Worlds. I don't know if they can achieve that. I don't know if they can accomplish that. I don't know how they can even get to that. Roy, I remember Roy having a concern, and it was a genuine concern. Like, how many times are we going to do a time travel episode? We are past that at this point. We at this point, we don't even give 2 shits about the timeline, because that seems to be subpar to the Queen literally assimilating her own personal regime. Do we not understand the gravity of what they're doing? Now, in any other universe that was slow as hell, I would appreciate all the extra directions that they are going, because if they had the mind half the size of a goose, they would know to make this 20 episodes instead of 10. Because this gives me mid-season finale vibes, not final episode.
All right, so we're at 32 minutes. Let's talk about the things that did work. And I specifically want to call out 2 actors. I want to call out Guinan's actor, whose name I cannot pronounce, and I'm not going to try, because I think she has been amazing. And she is consistently saving scenes that are just not working, just by the sheer awesomeness of her personality, apparently. And also Alison Pill.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a picture of Guinan. I love Guinan because it expanded on the mystery in the universe of the Elorians. Yeah, it's not like kind of like what they did. You know what? They can do anything with Vulcans. I don't care anymore. But what they did with other species, and they are like, y'all can't do that. And, you know, okay. You know what? Whatever. If you can talk to each other half a galaxy away, and not use any technology, I didn't know you could do that. So good for you, Sarek and Michael Burnham, who's human. But anyway, aside from those 2, we don't know anything about the Elorians.
I'm sorry. I really feel like we have some trauma there from you. Like some Discovery season 1 trauma.
I'm still recovering. You gotta understand. So the legitimate excuse is that with the Elorians, we don't know a thing about them other than that they're good at listening.
Yeah.
And because they lost their
apparently they're magic.
Right. And because they lost their homeworld, we definitely don't know a thing about them. It's just like the libraries of Alexandria burning to the ground. Because they're a race of listeners, they probably have an insurmountable amount of history and knowledge to them that we just do not know. But you understand, these people live for 700 to 1,000 years at a time.
Sure.
At most.
Right.
Like, Soren looked good for his age. So with that said, I was able to buy all of these things that Guinan was doing. I was able to buy all of that. I liked it. I really did. I didn't know that you can teleport yourself into someone's mind. And okay, let me ask: was it Picard that was able to see her, or could the other guy see her too? I couldn't tell.
He could. I don't think he could see her.
No.
I think he could see the flickering.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Because remember, the lights flickered, and so that prompted him to ask what's going on, and then all of a sudden we have this whole thing with Picard and his magic speechifying ability. And believe me, I am on board with letting Captain Picard tell me how to run my life. All right, like I grew up with this man, giving me inspirational speeches. Yeah, like. I'm on board with that. But when all of a sudden we have his inspirational speech and he's like, and I will trade you a truth for a truth, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden Nutbar, Fox Mulder from Wish turns around and is like, oh no, I buy that. No.
That was awesome.
That's not how that works.
You said Wish.
Fox Mulder from Wish.
Thank you. Can I return this Chinese knockoff? I'm good.
Sure.
Like this is not what I ordered.
They again, the season is filled with these one-off characters, unless you have something tied up in a bow, where somehow we're gonna see the Latina doctor, the spook, Wish Mulder dude, Renee Picard.
That's gonna be in your head now.
All these all these people who we've all these accessory people we've had throughout the season who somehow will be necessary to the plot like soon. Like sometimes with these seasons they'll do like a 2-episode two-parter at the end where you'll be like, so episode 9 and 10 will sort of cliffhang each other into a larger sort of denouement, whatever, and the climax will come in the last episode. But I think you'll find that see, this is the thing with Lost or whatever, right? They have all these threads as a show, and you're like, there's no payoff to it.
Oh my god, where's Marco? We literally were talking about this last night. We were talking about how much of an epic fail that was.
Yeah, and then that one's on.
There was too much going on. Now I really want Roy, because Roy has a great theory on everybody's favorite Mulder from Wish. So what's your theory, Roy?
What was my theory?
Yeah, what was your theory on why he's going to be useful, and that is in fact not a complete waste of half an episode?
Well, why were the Vulcans there? Something to do with the Vulcans, I'm sure. But
I just want to throw that out there and say that those were T'Pol's parents from that story. Look. I'm sorry, 2 seconds, because I have to make this episode at least somewhat good. Okay, right before, because we know that 2 of them ended up going back to the ship. Okay, They ended up going back. They had to go to a specific set of coordinates in the middle of the woods in order for that to happen. This was in the 70s. This was long before first contact, before they even had a modicum of technology.
Sure.
I want to say, and I don't care, and I'm not even going to bother reading the credits, I'm going to say those are T'Pol's grandparents or parents. At this point, parents. Grandparents. I'm sorry. Because it was a distant family story.
But when was Carbon Creek?
Carbon Creek was
before.
Look, I don't give a damn about.
Oh, right. My bad. I'm bringing facts to a Star Trek argument.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Okay, right? We're trying to salvage what we have and make this episode good.
Didn't we say that a Carbon Creek lady was already her auntie mother or something?
He never said where he was from. He never said any of that. And in the middle of the woods, it looked like Carbon Creek to me.
Did anybody else have a brief moment of Flight of the Navigator flashback?
Yeah, Yeah.
because I did.
Yeah.
Roy has a screen, but no, I want to go back to Roy's thought, because Roy, you were telling us this before we get into it, and like how Picard was
Nice.
asking a favor of Wishmolder.
Yeah. So I do have one last theory, and I think that the hint is actually in the title.
Okay.
I think that the Borg Queen / Girardi, she's just getting fed up with this mess. She's like, they're not getting this done in time. I'm just going to have to step in and take over and use my Borg, army that I'm creating and get this done and get us back to the future, because she sees that it is a mess. So it's her mercy, because she needs this crew to help her get back to the future. I mean, if she was just going to assimilate everybody and leave everybody behind, she would have probably killed, Raph. But I think it's her mercy saying, okay, I'm going to step in and fix all of this.
I thought that was Girardi. I thought Girardi was
Girardi stepping in.
Yeah, like had a moment, because we have that brief sort of screaming of no, no, no in what is Girardi's voice as opposed to the Borg Queen voice, which again, Alison Pill is killing it.
Sounds just like her too, but there is merit.
I still miss I miss Annie Wershing though.
Okay, I think it was the same thing. Real quick, boy. I think it's the same thing as what happened with both 7 of 9, Alice, and Susanna, who all wore Borg outfits, and they can only wear it for a limited amount of time because it was too much makeup, it was too many hours, and it was too damn tight. So they could only get the Borg Queen for like a good 3-4 episodes at best in that suit. I thought they were gonna like say, we know that this is Girardi, but this is the Borg Queen, so we're gonna show the Borg Queen because it's fucking cool. but they didn't do that, because I as much as I hate that approach, I understand it. And it's okay, because we get to see a bad bitch in a red dress.
Also, this is an amazing scene. I love the cinematography and the framing of this scene right here.
I feel
well done. Roy, you caught this one?
Yeah, Roy, yeah, you said
I'm doing the screen sharing, and I just think she's stepping in to try to save the day, and that's from the title. Mercy is, to me, is the clue.
Maybe
I don't know if it's Girardi's mercy. I think it's the Borg Queen's mercy. So it's just my 2 cents.
Well, we know that the Borg Queen knows something on the first episode when they come back and ask for Picard. They didn't kill anyone on that ship. It exploded later on, but they only stunned them. Since when does the Borg stun anybody?
Yeah.
Having watched this episode, I really think that we're going to end up with a danger moment, like, where Girardi that whole thing is going to come up, and like it's going to like dissolve, like that helmet's going to dissolve, and it's going to be Girardi underneath.
I think that I think the key here is at the end, where Girardi is trying to entice Adam Soong, and she tells him about his legacy or whatever. In one way, you can have a daughter, and another you could have this legacy. And she says, if Rene Picard brings this life form back to Earth, then there will be no need for you. There will be something where something about the ecological fallout of Earth will have been saved. And so without this bacteria or this sentient bacteria or something to this effect, Soong will be necessary, and there'll be great statues of him, and he'll be in all these halls, but we'll go down this other path entirely. So again,
I do think that's a great reference to the statue that we saw on the Confederation Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we did see and hear his voice, and we knew that he was going to play a major part in the story. I'm just trying to figure out what angle is the Queen getting at, because you could take back the ship, but in all honesty,
she's stroking his ego with her finger.
Well, here's
if I may paraphrase.
Oh, I know, right? But here's the thing. I would say we're playing it smart as Trekkies, but they keep going in a different direction, so I don't know where they're going. But if the Borg Queen really, really wanted to assimilate Earth, she would have done it by now. It would have been finished. and the touch alone was done. It was
No,
done.
but no. Apparently, she's got a crunch on some batteries. Like, I mean, I was getting major
I think that
zombie
makes
vibes.
sense.
I don't know if anybody else was, but I was just like,
Yeah.
brains are now battery acid. Gotcha.
I mean, because here's the thing. I actually did not mind that because in my head, yeah, while you were subconscious in Girardi's psyche, you could make the lights go out, and that's fine. You know, that's a little show offy. You know, you're trying to do your thing. But for this, I'm like, logic is still logic. You can't do shit if you ain't got the technology to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I can see how like she but what if she fucks up her esophagus and her throat and stuff eating all those straps of well, that's what Borg nanoprobes are for, to heal you know, as they keep building anyway.
Much like this episode, William's rant has gone in a very different direction than I anticipated.
Look, because I am a complete reflection right now of this episode. Like I said, the episode just did it's just little moments. Like, it's just like, I'm glad.
I want Roy's faith. I do. I want Roy's faith. I'm not sure I have it because.
Okay, so Girardi, Borg Queen, said that Picard is an obstacle, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think Picard is actually the loose cannon because even Q said, I didn't bring him back to this timeline. He did that on his own.
Sure.
You know, was there another way to fix this versus, you know, Picard saying, oh, we got to go back in time, you know, slingshot around the sun. That was his idea. According to Q, Q's mentality is, no, I don't think he was supposed to do that. He just assumed that. And I think Girardi / Borg Queen is thinking Picard's the loose cannon. He's the obstacle. I'm going to fix it my way. And
I get it.
She's probably going to be the hero.
I think Girardi is the entity that comes out of that ship that takes over that other ship and has been fully assimilated as a queen. And in that moment, Q has like used the last of his power to transport them, and he can't do any of the time travel stuff. But this alternate dimension he's transported their consciousness to this other dimension. And so what you're seeing is that maximal fulcrum or point where like he could finally like beat back the like new Borg Queen, which is Girardi. That just clicked for me. I think that new Borg Queen is Girardi fully taken over, and that we're going to see that come full circle.
That's what I meant when I was talking about Danger's theory, because that Danger actually posited that.
Can I add to that, Manny? And this is gonna, Manny, Marie, I already know this is gonna sound far fetched, so I'm just gonna say it now, okay? And it's just to make the episode good. What if what we're dealing with throughout the season are actually two different Qs from two different timelines?
We've had this. We've posited this before that right. You know, we have two different Qs.
Yeah, because the Confederation knew what was going on, and owned it. Whereas this Q back here is powerless and frustrated. Well, they were both frustrated, but pissed and can't get nothing done. And he's like, I'm trapped just back here. I didn't tell you to come back here.
What occurred to me while that was happening is that either A, Picard is somehow, and humanity is directly important to the Q timeline. And no, he's transported to a timeline where the Q are powerless and that he is mortal, simply because he is now, because the Borg have come back, and maybe that has messed with the actual natural Q, like evolution or something. Their omnipotence is now challenged in some way. Mm-hmm. And that, it's weird that Gaiden wouldn't be able to like, to see that or to sense that or whatever. But I think that Q is powerless because all Q are powerless at this moment.
Right. It's not just one. It has to be the entire continuum.
Yeah, that's contingent in this way. And so he's cut off. That's why it took him so long to get there and whatever. But he doesn't know how to deal with this stuff. He thought it was a gift and now it's a curse. But he gave Picard the last of his Q juice to get him back.
It happened faster than I thought it would, honestly. And I gotta tell you, I was not anticipating that it was going to be Manny. I really thought like I was going to make that joke. But no. Roy's like, I'm the adult. What are all these children doing?
I think that the Girardi coming back in time, there's a fulcrum there, like a fixed point. and she's breaking through it, and it's messing with the Q powers. It really thought at the beginning of this actually that Picard was an ancestor of Q or something, which would tie everything together, and that like billions of years into the future, there's the Q.
Please
and this
God,
sort of,
no. Please God,
Or-
no.
or
No,
even
it would make
worse.
no.
sense.
Or even worse, what if they're stuck in a time loop and we don't know it?
Mm.
Like these events keep happening and they keep going back and going back and going back.
Right. I hear you. Yes, that's
What
very
I
possible.
really need is I really need Picard not to be as important as he thinks he is, because one of the things that's been rubbing me consistently the wrong way is Picard's easy assumption that he's the focus, that he's, that all of this is targeted at him. And I think some of that is true, but I also think that other things are going on. I think we have definitely now noticed that Rene Picard is not the primary target, that it's the Sung family drama that Q is trying to manipulate. And I kind of wonder, I kind of wonder if Q is now actually trying to start the eugenics wars, because it needs to happen in order for the Federation to occur.
I think Girardi bringing back that bacteria is directly in opposition to Soong rising to power, based on the juxtaposition, the way the Borg Queen mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like if they
So
don't
Rene
do this,
Picard's got to get on that. It's got to get on that shuttle.
I mean,
in order for things to work. I just, again, like, they've done such weird things with agency in this show, in this season, especially
they wouldn't do the things that they
female
would do?
characters.
yeah, that they wouldn't like. There's no agency in how they choose to do what they're doing, or
Yeah, I mean, so theoretically, Yvette Picard is a very important character. Because whatever happens with her, and between her and Maurice and young Jean-Luc, is this watershed moment, right?
yeah,
That's Picard's watershed moment that he draws the allusion to when he's talking to Wells about his watershed moment. The problem is, you'll note that that everybody else that's involved in that whole story has had the opportunity to speak, but Yvette. Maurice gets a moment where he gets to talk to his son. Jean-Luc gets a moment to talk to Maurice, and they're literally talking over the events with his mother. But that's not what they're working out. They're working out their drama. So she's
Right.
sort of ancillary to that whole thing. We have Girardi, right, who was starting to make strides for this amazing agency. Words are apart, and now that agency's been taken from her.
Yes.
Corey is, she has that moment where she walks away from Soong, but if Corey hadn't walked away from Soong, then Soong wouldn't have been open to the Borg Queen's offer.
I see what you're saying.
So Corey's story here is ancillary. It's sort of ancillary to Adam Soong's story, and then we have this whole business with Rios. That story is not about Teresa. It's not about Ricardo. It's about Rios.
It's almost like it's become a reverse first contact story. When I say first contact story, I'm talking about the movie. Like, it's happening in reverse, where the queen literally has to take matters into her own hands. And get this, possesses the knowledge of the last time they tried to infiltrate Earth in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
No, that's true.
So that said, you know what? It looks like I got to do this myself. Which now, from that angle, I'm on board with that shit. If you feel like you got to do it yourself, then be a bad bitch and do it. Like, make the galaxy fear you. Like, I'm here for that. I'm here for all that. But I want to. Someone here made the point that without the Federation, the Q might not be able to exist. What if this is? And I keep saying, "What if?" Manny. What if this is like an entire interstellar moment? When I say
I
it's a
swear to you,
show,
like after this season is over, we are just going to have so much what if content.
Totally.
we are without question.
I
Like
can't
we're gonna
wait.
have it. It's gonna be like Voyager studying the schematics for the next 10 years for how long they've been.
Oh
in the
my
I'm
god.
gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be like, all right, we're gonna
know.
sit here
But-
on your show, Manny, and we're gonna
What
work this
if-
out.
Let's do it.
What if the Q
I love
continuum are the evolved species of humans?
That's what I was
That's what I'm
saying.
saying. Yeah. So that said,
So wait a minute. We're gonna Planet of the Apes, the Q.
Right.
look.
Also, can I
don't like
fit?
it
I mean,
any more than
clearly,
you.
I've been hanging out with Marco. Can I fit any more references into this episode?
Guinan was super heavy-handed when she said that bit to Picard about the fact that they do the work and they want to evolve. Why would they choose that phrasing? It's
It means that there's some form of evolution here, and maybe the big aha moment is this is actually what becomes the human race in the year 5000. I don't know, like.
But we already know they're like intermixing and stuff, and then in these later, like they're an everything species, but maybe it's the human spark.
Maybe it's the human spark that made them become and made
Yes.
them become. Humans are not always going to be on Earth. We know this scientifically. It's not always going to happen, and we don't really have a Q origin story. The closest
Do we
thing
need a cute origin story though?
you know what?
Everybody else gets one. Everybody else gets one. Right?
Hell, we got an Elorian origin story now. Like,
Yeah.
I would wager that they literally made the Elorians and the Q continuum sound like the biblical holy wars. They made it sound like that.
I mean, and then they turned it into a genie in the bottle.
Oh god.
I know we tried to look for the positivities in this episode, and I'm here for all that, but let's just be real. This episode was a crock of shit. Okay.
It was a hot mess.
It was a hot mess. It was like it was as a Trekkie, it was fun to watch. But as far as to analyze and talk about, I don't know where to begin.
Fair. It's all over the place.
Clearly I did because I was mad.
No, because I feel like I'm reading a graphic novel made by a college student. That's what I feel like I'm reading right now.
Oh.
I desperately want Roy's theory to be borne out. I want me to be wrong. I want to be completely wrong. I want to have the opportunity to go back.
Yes.
I want to go back.
It's hard not to rant, though.
It's hard not to. And you know me, I'm like the enthusiastic one. I'm the one defending Enterprise. I defend even the last episode, I defended that shit. I defended it. This one, I'm having a hard time because I thought Picard was untouchable. I thought it was. I defended season 1 of Picard. I did.
I think maybe we're just spoiled. Like we're just used to punchy, good writing all the time, and all of these and so I
want to know who's in the writers' room. I want to sit there and just be like, "What are you bitches doing?"
What happened on DS9? Tell you what, someone writing in the DS9.
I'm sorry, guys. You have watched way too much Lost, and you forgot. Why that fizzled.
Ugh, Echo and all that stuff with the thing.
Sorry,
they only ever wrote 3 seasons of Lost.
I swear to you, if somebody shows up with a Dharma Initiative T-shirt, I'm out. I'm just out.
Oh man, I had a girlfriend once. She was really, really, really into it, and she's like, I never got resolution, so I went and I deep dived into it, and I found that there was a video game for Lost. I went and looked up all the cut sequences and like seen the game and stuff, and they answer the whole thing. If you go into the actor, they explain all of Lost in these cut sequences, and I remember going, "Ha ha!" She's like, "You're a jerk. Why did you show me all these things?
You're a jerk. You gave me what I asked for."
Yeah, exactly. So
that is where my life is right now. It's like, why is my toddler crying? I gave him the plate he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, humans need something. Humans need an enemy or a thing to complain about of sorts, in a generalized sense. Like,
so Picard is becoming that for me. Okay.
Look, I don't see why not, because it's like He's hardly doing anything, and yet it's all about him. Now I know the show is literally named Picard, and I get all that, but I feel like it's like what you said. We haven't heard nothing from Yvette. We don't know shit about his brother. I was kind of hoping that with Renee being in the picture, that we would have flashbacks of his nephew and brother being caught in the fire. I was hoping a lot of things like you really.
Man, William just took it to a dark place, guys.
I did, because if you
just took it to a dark place.
This place where you were in some sort of cellar while your mom was losing her shit, I was kind of hoping you would be like saddened again that you are the last Picard. By the way, you're the last one. That's it. You're done. After you, it's finished. Like,
but I gotta tell you, after this season, like I'm not grieving about that anymore.
I think it'll spin off. I think you're gonna see like platforming for the other properties, because
now I gotta tell you, like I am here for a Seven and Raffi Fenris Ranger, like badass lesbian bitches in space. Like I'm all right.
I hope that they make season 4, 5, 6, and 7 a Seven and Raffi show.
No, I want Star Trek Cisco. That's what I want. I want Star Trek Cisco. I saw the thing with Sarah Clofton, who said that he would come back.
No, let it be Jake instead.
Oh, Jake. You're talking about Jake. I was going to say, Avery Brooks didn't say he would come back.
No, but he spoke through Jake. He was open to it. Yeah.
I mean, if they do that, like, I don't know, give 3 seasons to Picard, give 3 seasons to Cisco, give 3 seasons to Janeway. Okay, you got yourself a bomb. You got yourself the Star Trek show of the century. Yeah. Like, if you do that. I don't think they're going to do that, because I promise you that has not even touched their minds. Like, sure it has. Given what we watched for the last 3 episodes, they have not even thought of it. I promise you. I feel like I wanted to live I know we're at 101. I wanted to live my life, and I'm complaining at this point. I've been complaining, and just be on a Star Trek show, just to be on a Star Trek show. Now I feel like I have to be on a Star Trek show just to correct it. No.
Wow, we are angry nerds tonight.
This does not. It's literally,
or I guess it like riled up the blood a little.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to put a pin in it there, ladies and gentlemen. And
all
you watching,
thank you
so much for joining us. Yes, okay. Thanks for joining us today, and for coming along on this ride, even though it was frustrating and fun at the same time. And we have all these theories and a bag full of what ifs to give each other. Thank you, Roy, for being here. William, Marie, thanks so much. And we'll see you guys next time.
For your comments, as always.
Take care.
Now, again, I'm going to say this again, because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Okay, we're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should brought their child out. Such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but.
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
We gotta move on.